Coming to you from the heart of the Great White North. Welcome to the Canadian Prepper Podcast. Immerse yourself in the world of preparedness with insights from seasoned experts and a touch of Canadian practicality. Your go-to source for all things survival, resilience, and self-reliance. Now, let's kick off another episode packed with knowledge and strategies to ensure you're ready for whatever life may throw your way. Stay tuned and let the journey to preparedness begin.
Welcome to episode number 257 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording on December 22nd, 2024. Name's Eric, host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and of course, computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events. Started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, also ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and the weather nerd.
Hello, I'm Pat. I'm kind of new around here, so I'll introduce myself. I'm from South Central Nebraska. I'm a farmer, rancher, hunter, shooter, ATC enthusiast, prepper, and ever since COVID, I've tried to up my prepping game even higher just because of that particular reason. And I now have a healthy suspicion of all drones.
Apparently, all drones are sus.
Yes, they are.
Look at us sounding like young kids. This is great. If you want to help support the show, you can buy some swag. We've got the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch. You could maybe throw that at some drones. That's at prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help cover our podcast costs. And Pat, you want to read this section? All right, I'll do it. If you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes, spin a review wherever you found us. We want your feedback, even if it's bad. We also invite you to reach out and tell us about something you learned this week. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. And, well, we've got some content for you in this episode. We're really not quite sure what we're going to talk about. Kyle made the suggestion that we just do a quick answer listener questions. We were going to talk about body armor this evening, but had a couple of technical difficulties and our guests weren't able to make it. So we're running kind of blind here. So we're going to do a ask us anything kind of episode and go from there. So we'll see how this pans out and see how it works. But we didn't want to leave everybody hanging with nothing. So let's move into the news, shall we?
Well, I don't really have anything, but obviously, if anybody in Canada has been hiding under a rock, it's been a pretty interesting week, 10 days on our political side of the system. Obviously, we know that our finance minister resigned. The government put out a economic update that was $20 billion over their quote-unquote red line. So, yeah, it's going to be another interesting bit. They're on their Christmas break. I wish I would have a Christmas break that lasted 6 weeks, but they're on their 6-week Christmas break. They'll be back sometime late January, and we'll just have to see what happens from there. There's all kinds of ideas, guesses, predictions. Nobody knows. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. So.
Do you say 20 billion over the red line?
Yeah. So what Freeland was talking about and the government was saying was they were going to hold the deficit at 40.1 billion. It came in at 60.8 billion. So yeah.
So this is what happens when the budget balances itself.
Or you're just stupid and you don't know what 2 and 2 is.
That's
yes,
8,
I said
it. Oh man. Yeah, so it's been an interesting time. And then beyond that, my news feed has just been filled with drones are sus because apparently it's still a thing.
Yep.
So with that, how about we move into what we've done lately for preps and we kick off with Jeff?
Not much. So I will answer Kyle's question. The snowmobile trails are okay. We We had tons of snow. We had some warm weather. We lost it. It's back frigidly cold here right now. So the base is as hard as a rock. Held up better than I thought. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Lots of people were out riding today. I was out grooming the last couple of days. So things are good. For my preps, I did some fuel rotation. I've done some food prep and just getting ready to spend a couple of days with the fam for Christmas.
Very nice. For myself, got some reloading done. So got that stuff delivered that I talked about last episode. And I'm still new to the reloading world. So, moving slow with it. But so far, they look like they're supposed to look like. So I think I did it right. We'll find out if they go bang when I get to the range to test them out. But yeah, did 100 rounds and looks good. So we'll see. This is the second time I've done a run of reloads. So the last ones went bang. So hopefully these ones go bang too.
Yeah, that always helps when they go bang. Instead of click.
Nothing worse than click.
Yeah, click.
Well, the only thing worse than click is not bang, but boom. That could be.
I am hoping to avoid the click and the boom. Yes, I just want the bang.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, for me, more firewood. Just keeping up with my stores, so that way when it does get really cold and really snowy, I don't have to go out and go do it. And currently building up a second pickup truck right now, so I can have a second four-wheel drive on the farm or for whatever. So happy to get into that. I got kind of lucky on that one, or just lucky, depending on the story I was telling in the back room. So still needs some work, but she's about halfway back together right now. So hoping another day or two she'll be ready to rock. So,
very nice.
But that's it for me.
Awesome. Well, with that, we'll move into our main topic. Like I said, we were planning on talking about body armor this evening, but subject matter experts that were supposed to come out have run into a little bit of a technical hiccup, not able to hop on with us this evening, so we'll have to reschedule them. And the joys of doing live shows, sometimes things just don't work out the way we want them to. And so here we are. So Kyle, in the live chat there, before we went live, had the idea of doing like an Ask Me Anything kind of thing, or kind of show, or answer listener questions. So we've got a few people watching. If anybody has a specific question that they want us to jump into or dive into, absolutely let us know. If not, we're just going to kind of ramble about whatever comes to mind. So I don't think we've really done an episode like this, 250 some odd episodes in. That's not bad. But Kyle asks about plate carriers. Anybody with plate carriers?
Yes, actually, I do have a system. I do not have any plates in it currently right at the moment, but I do. Would that be safe to show on air? I would imagine. Okay, well, I'll just grab it. It's just sitting right here. I do have a rig. It's nothing super fancy, but it's just a zip up. And you can put a plate on each side of the zipper there, and it's got a full tuck away on the back, and it's mesh. So that way it's breathable. So it's very good for the summertime. And then I do have a lighter weight one when it gets really, really, really hot. Not much protection, but it does have a plate for your main heart and everything in there. So it's not going to protect all that well against a gut shot or anything like that, but at least the pump house is protected. So, yeah, that's my lightweight rig, and that's my heavy rig there. So, yeah, one of these days, that's why I was kind of hoping that those guys would be on tonight, so that way I could kind of pick their brain a little bit on systems like that. So hopefully they'll be able to be on in a future episode for that. So that way, yeah, I would definitely want to go with ceramic. I am not a very big guy. So ounces equal pounds, pounds equals hurt back. So I would try to want to go with the lightest weight stuff that I can.
My back already hurts. I don't need it to be worse.
Right.
But yeah, I'd agree. Ceramic makes a little bit more sense, I think, just weight wise. If you're going to be trugging it around and wearing it quite often, lighter the better, because you're going to have more equipment you're going to want to carry. So the lighter it is, the more you can carry, right?
Right, right. My theory's always been is if I can keep my plates as lightweight as possible when I do get them, the more magazines I can carry.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So, but I like the things that go bang. I don't like to get banged at.
This is true. Yeah, I don't think. That's a good way of putting it.
Chances are, when it gets to that point, if you're going bang, you can pretty well guarantee somebody's going to bang back. So, maybe not. Depends how good of a shot you are. If you get the first shot, then you never know. But I do have a vest of my own. I'm not going to go any further than that. I do not have ceramic or metal or anything like that. It's just a level 3 Kevlar. But if it should come to that, I do have something at least right now. And I did want to talk to these guys a lot. I'm kind of disappointed they're not here, but as I had a lot of questions around legality of it, all of that kinds of stuff. If I'm not mistaken, it's not illegal in Canada to possess it. So I do know, you see sometimes law enforcement makes a big bust and the bikers or some really bad people, and they're trotting out, oh look, we recovered this whole bunch they had body armor, and everybody goes woo, but it's not illegal to possess it. So
it depends on the province. It's a provincial thing in Canada, so it's not a criminal code or a federal statute thing. It's a provincial statute. So in Ontario, for example, no problems at all. Anyone can walk into a store, buy Kevlar, walk out of a store. Yeah, you might get some eyeballs and some people are going to ask you questions if you're taking your dog for a walk and you're wearing your vest. But, nothing there. In other provinces, there is a requirement that you have a firearms license. If you have a firearms license, then you can purchase Kevlar. It depends on the province. So, correct, not illegal in Canada, just provincial statute thing. So, just kind of, depending on the province you're in, make sure you know what the rules are. And some require you to have a firearms license first. And Kyle in the live chat's got a good point. It's not illegal yet.
And he's got a valid point there. So
it does. Yep.
Yep.
And same as Jeff. I've got a vest as well here. I won't get into much further detail, but I've got ceramic plates as well that I've got built into the carrier. Ceramic's way nicer. Like we were just saying, it's definitely lighter and easier to wear for longer periods.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Richard's got a good point in the live chat here. He just says nothing wrong with protecting yourself. Yeah, I'm going to guess he's an American.
I'm going to guess he's my brother.
So I was right. Yeah, things are a bit different in Canada as far as protection and self-defense, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little, it's different here than it is in the States, but it is what it is. Melissa in the live chat mentions that Pierre also has some body armor, but apparently he forgot it was Sunday today, so he's left us all standing alone. So appreciate that. I don't know.
Well,
I guess we're not going to hit the explicit button tonight.
I was going to say most people with man buns probably want to have a little bit of extra protection for the, the incoming fire. Yes, I said it.
Well done, sir. Well done. So this is a bit of a fun topic. I was looking forward to having the RA Tech guys come out and kind of clarify a few things for us. We will get them back on. It's like I said, we just ran into a couple of technical issues, so we will get them out in the new year and get your answers, your questions answered, because it's something that is a pretty, I don't know if it's really a talked about in depth topic in the preparedness world, but it's always something that once you kind of start talking about it, everybody perks up and goes, yeah, I'm interested in this. And is it something I should add to my preps? And is it something I should have? And what is the legalities around it? And, what's the best way to go out and purchase or size it, or what should I buy? Because there's options, right? There's all, like Pat showed us, his carriers. There's all kinds of different carriers and different areas that you can protect, and different types of Kevlar, and different types of vests, and different types of carriers and add-ons, like the plates we were talking about. Like, there's so many different ins and outs, and it's always an area that everybody just kind of sort of shies away from. But I find everybody's kind of got an interest, because if things go sideways, of course you want to be able to protect yourself as much as you possibly can, and this is probably a good thing to have in your pack or your bag of tricks if things go south quick, right? And you find yourself in a hostile environment where, things are going bang, and they're going bang in your general direction. You might want to have this available to you just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because remember, everybody, the enemy gets a vote.
Fair enough. So it's like I say, we'll definitely have them on once we can kind of iron out the technical issues. Is there anybody in the live chat that's got any kind of question? Doesn't have to be about body armor. If there's anything else you want to know about, we're happy to answer it as well. I said we're kind of doing an impromptu episode tonight.
Or even, what's your thoughts on what's going to happen down the road? Like, not that we're gonna get into the tinfoil hat stuff and all that kinds of stuff, but what things do you see, and what are your concerns moving forward, and maybe a prep that you think you want to up your game a little bit on. Yeah, Kyle, the 51st state.
Kyle wants to know if we're going to be the 51st state. There's pros and cons to that.
Not with Governor Justin, we're not.
Nope. I like the idea of remaining our own country, but having a few things maybe changed around a touch. We'll see with the new election coming up.
Yep.
So another good question, and this would be a good one. It's from Richard in regards to what level of body armor do you think you'll need? That would be a great question for the guys that we had coming out, because they were going to lay out all the different levels and all the different possibilities and things that you could purchase. I am far from a subject matter expert on this. That's why we brought these guys in to chat. So we will keep this aside for the when we actually have them, and we can, like I said, iron out the technical issues of getting them on. But great question. I just don't know how to answer it. I don't know if anybody else in the panel wants to take a run at it. Absolutely, you're welcome to.
But my guess was just depends on what kind of environment you're running in. I mean, is it urban, or you got wide open spaces where somebody's going to be taking pot shots at you with a sniper rifle from a long distance with high caliber weapons? Way more questions than I've got answers for. That's for damn sure.
All right, we'll set that one aside, and we'll wait until we've got someone that can answer it. Oh, here's a good one from Kyle, and I think it's aimed at Jeff. Can you put a turret on a snowmobile? Put anything on.
If I wanted to, I probably could. Yep. Why not?
Another one from Richard here. Just a good point. Learn basic first aid, because you'll have a better chance of using that skill than your shooting skills. So, you know what? It's true. Chances are you will have to use your first aid skills way more often. Hopefully, neither ever, but chances of using your shooting skills versus your first aid skills, I'd say, most likely you're using your first aid skills a lot more often than you would be your shooting skills, unless you're like a professional target shooter or something like that, obviously. But, I see where he's getting at there. In emergency situations, most likely the first aid skills. Scott in the live chat, good point. We were talking about just the different types of vests and the plates and such, weight and bulk versus mobility. Bulletproof 100-foot dive suit isn't that practical. Yeah, it's true.
Yep, it just all depends on the situation and how you want to run it. And it just, like I said, way more questions than I got answers for. That's for dang sure.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a question for you.
Oh, here's a good one. ham radio get affected during a snowstorm? Weather will affect propagation. There's a lot of depends answers tonight. It depends, of course, on, you're using UHF, VHF, are you talking HF, etc. But ultimately, yes, it does affect it. I've transmitted in big snowstorms and have been able to make DX contacts, meaning international contacts, without issue. But yes, it will definitely affect it. But yes, bring the ham radio questions. I will be here all night if that's what this turns into.
Well, Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I would tend to think the radio would be more affected by summer thunderstorms, like electric. You've got that. I don't even know where I'm going with that, but lightning and all that kinds of, an electrical storm as opposed to just a snowstorm.
Yeah, electrical storms definitely affect ham radio, because if there's an electrical storm happening, like a lightning thunderstorm, all my stuff's unplugged, so it doesn't work.
Which is a good idea.
There's no transmitting then. Yeah. Scott's got a great question in the live chat. What brand of absorbent underwear do you recommend? It depends.
It depends, or it is depends.
Both.
Yep. Yeah. So Richard's asking, what's my furthest DX contact? Oh, let me pull up my log. Let me see here. I'll pull it up.
The one day we were doing a sort of a bit of a Parks on the Air thing, but we hit that little island out between Alaska and Russia.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes, that was cool.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, with just a little HF rig out of the hunt camp, actually. Yeah, it was good. Let's see. This one was pretty cool. Slovak Republic was my first ever actual recorded contact. It was in 2020, October 19th. I was just playing around with the radio. I had finally gotten used to how things worked. I had a decent antenna kind of set up. I heard this guy calling for stations. I was like, you know what? I'll just transmit. I'll see what happens. And he called me back. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What? That was my call sign. He just said my call sign. Oh, okay. So I logged him. And yeah, Slovak Republic, October 19th, 2020 at 12:25 a.m. That's UTC time. So I was pretty happy with that one. What else have I gotten? There's a whole bunch in here. This guy here, Austria. Again, this is all just with a little wire out in the backyard. But yeah, that was probably the furthest. Germany's in here. There's this guy here, Czech Republic. Done all kinds of them. We've got some pretty good ones. Myself and Jeff just sitting in the park here, just with like a little end fed up in the trees. And so really you get all kinds of stuff. Bermuda. That was kind of a cool one. So,
yeah,
lots of DX, lots and lots of DX.
Yeah, my brother out there in the side chat, he's a big ham radio guy too. So nice. So he's got a pretty good sized rig at his place, and he's got one in the vehicle too. So he likes that stuff too. He really logged a lot. So
we're going to get along just fine, is what you're saying.
Yes, you would get along with him just fine.
Yeah, what else do I have in here? France is in here. Spain. Yeah. So lots of DX. All just off a wire. Don't have anything crazy antenna-wise here. Let's see. What other questions we got in here? Oh, we are getting into all the ham radio questions now. This is turning into a ham radio episode. You know what? I'll take it. Actually, before we do that, there's a very important question for Pat. How many trampolines does Pat own? 0. Oh, that's it, Pat. You can't come back. Yeah, you got
used to
at least one.
Used to. Windstorms do funny things to trampolines.
Fair enough. Okay, you got to fix that up though, because you need them for asteroids and things.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I almost forgot about that. Asteroids. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. It's very important. It's very important.
As Kyle says, you're not prepared.
Scott in the live chat's got a good question. Are there other competing softwares for Vera AC just sending text messages? JS8 Call. Check out JS8 Call. It's fantastic. S2 does a GhostNet on Thursdays as well. It's a little bit off the usual JS8 call frequency, but it's intended for passing traffic like news and information that's going on. So Vera AC is cool. It's a neat little mode. So those that aren't aware of what it does, allows you to send text messages basically between. So you hook your computer up to your radio. Your computer kind of drives the ship, sends the signals across your radio. You can do text messaging. It shows that the other operator's typing. It's very like text messagey feel. You can send images back and forth. You can send files. It's slow, but it's not, it's not like crazy slow, but it's slow. But you can kind of do text messages back and forth. You can leave voicemails. So if I leave my computer on here with Vera AC on, listening to the frequency, and say Scott, who's asked the question, wants to send me a message, but I'm not here, he can leave a message here for me, or he can leave a message on my machine for somebody else. And if I hear that somebody else, I'll relay the message. So it's a neat little program. But the alternate to that would be JS8 Call, and I think JS8 Call's been around a bit longer than Vera AC. But both very, very handy modes. If you haven't heard of them or used them, check them out along with WinLink. Very handy as well. Kyle asks, distance for a handheld. A lot of it depends answers tonight. Handhelds are line of sight, right? So you got to keep that in mind. If the antenna on your handheld can't see the antenna on the handheld you're sending to, you're not going to hear it. So they've got to be able to see each other, in quotes. So you could get kilometer, you could get 10. It really depends on your operating environment. Your antenna is going to be key. That's the most important part of the radio. So it really depends. That's why you go out and test it before things go south to see how far you can get. What else do we got in here?
Don't go with stock. Don't go with stock.
That is a nice big antenna. What is that, a Nagaya?
Bofang, actually.
Yeah. Bofang radio, but the antenna.
Oh yeah, Nagaya. Yeah. I picked up quite a bit going over the stock one for sure. It just seems like it picks up better for sure. But yeah, my brother's the radio guru, so he's the one that set me up with that. Yep,
you gotta. Yeah, the antenna is key. That's
Mm-hmm.
You need to know. You need a good antenna because that's your ears and that's your voice, right? That's the first thing that hears the signal. That's the first thing that sends it out. So.
Yep, all the power in the world doesn't mean squat if you don't have a good antenna.
Yep. There's an interesting comment from Sean in the live chat. Preppers, if you're taking fire, you did not plan correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some, can't argue with that, actually.
Not necessarily wrong. My first thought to that was, but things happen. But at the same time, you're not wrong. If your plan was in place and you're not in the place where the problem started, then you're good. It's a very good point.
Yeah. And that's one of the big myths that, when the shit hits the fan or world ending event or something like that, 9 times out of 10, if you're getting into a freaking gunfight, you've done it wrong. You need to be stealthy. You need to be away. You don't want to get into one. You don't want to pick a fight. That's a defensive weapon, not an offensive weapon.
Yeah, you're not out intentionally looking for the firefight. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. You're not Rambo.
At all. No,
nobody's Rambo.
Probably a really good distinction to make. Is that's not what any of us is going out looking for. You want to avoid that at all costs. This is like a last resort kind of scenario that we'd be talking about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's Kyle makes a good point here as well. Lots of dead spots to the 800 megahertz radio for the fire department. Just wondering how a handheld would work in those low areas. It'd be the same if you're in a low area. If you can't see up over those hills or over those mountains or whatever it is in your area where you're down in the bottom of the valley, the handhelds aren't getting out either. It's all about what that antenna can see, and if the terrain is blocking it, you would need, for an example, if you're down in the bottom of the valley and you want to get up over it, you would need a repeater up at the top of the valley that you can see, and then the repeater would push the signal up and over from the top. So yeah, it's all about location. You're down in the bottom of a valley, your better bet is to try contact on HF, because that's going to bounce the signal off the ionosphere and bring it back down. So you have a higher chance of getting a contact that way, but it might not be a local contact, right? That's the thing. It could end up being an international contact or somebody nowhere near you, but at least it's somebody that could then help you if you need it, right? But that's not going to apply to a fire department. You're not going to be running around with an HF rig going, "Hey, we need help or more water or more crew or more whatever here." Yeah, you're just going to need repeater systems in strategic places in and around your area of responsibility in order to be able to get those signals up and out of that terrain, which is not always easy depending on the budgets and the constraints that you have, because politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know how it works up there, but like a lot of those radio towers and stuff that we have around here are actually, some of them are actually owned by private clubs and stuff like that. And depending on space available on the tower, and if you want to put a repeater of your own on there or something for like, or even for EMS or first responders, stuff like that. That's where politics can get really sticky on a private tower. So we've had some people that know about stuff like that before. Like, well, this is the perfect spot, but they won't let us put anything up there. Well, it's their tower. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep. Yeah, politics are always a thing, especially when it comes to radios and towers and antennas. And
yeah,
there's always somebody that's not going to like it or doesn't want you to put it there.
Yep.
It comes back to what we were talking about pre-show. I hate people.
Yes.
Right?
And that's why I'm here.
Apparently Pat's not people. That's okay.
No, I'm not. I'm just Pat.
Yep. All right. Any other questions out of the live chat or comments? Yes. Richard agrees with us. People suck.
Yes, they do.
Yep. So just kind of back to a bit of a news thing that
sure
sort of stumbled up there, and this just is a kind of an indication or an idea of how quickly things can really go bad. And one simple mistake, miss of a button, pushing a button you shouldn't. So it sounds like the U.S. shot down one of their own Super Hornets over the Red Sea last night. So apparently the pilots ejected and survived, but they shot down their own plane.
That's an oops moment.
Yep.
Or at least that's what we're getting. Or at least that's what we're getting told.
Oh, that's true. Yep.
Yeah. Yikes.
But, yeah, and I'll bring the point back up that my brother made earlier. Oh, somebody left the defense on automatic. Somebody had to step off and go to the bathroom, and they just put it on autopilot, apparently. Whoopsie!
RNAi is not as good as we thought it was.
Right?
Oh, so Kyle's got another comment in here. Michigan-based prepper convention, special guest CPP. Oh, you know what? Maybe.
I'd be all over that.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Nope.
Could be fun. As you know, we've got our own prepper convention here in Ontario. Annual Peppers Meet.
Annual Preppers Meet. Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
But it's also good to see other ideas of what other people have, and maybe the
True. Oh yeah.
different rule, I guess, which we all know. I mean, different rules in different countries, and of course, we all know about the whole firearms thing with that being, different rules and how you can do things, and so yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'd be interested if there was such a thing. You can make the trek south. Why not? So Scott's asked it a couple of times. It has absolutely nothing to do with ham radio, nothing to do with body armor, nothing to do with drones, although I suppose we could use drones to do this and we could wear body armor while doing it. But he wants to know, what seeds do you guys start early?
I start onion, garlic, potatoes, because they will deal with the cold weather fairly good on the stuff that I mainly like to plant anyway. Those are my big three that I've started early in the year. And actually, you can leave onion, at least in my section, my growing section of the United States, you can leave onion in the ground year round, and it pops right back up the next year.
Nice.
So, which is nice, because then you just you just keep pulling it, and it's fine.
Very nice.
Honestly, I don't really start anything early. My garden isn't that big enough yet that I'm kind of there. I mean, tomatoes, cucumbers, like stuff like that seem to survive the growing season. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'll start my tomatoes early in the house and then transplant them outside once it gets to be nice. Hot peppers, because it's just, you need hot peppers. So I'll usually start those early. Everything failed this season. It sucked real bad, but you get that sometimes. In other seasons, everything works out real well. So those are usually the two I start inside and then transplant them outside later on. So I don't know if that really counts as starting them early, but I'm going to count it as starting early. Scott throws a second question out in regards to planting seeds. What tree seeds grow fast enough to hang an antenna for my radio? Funny guy, Scott. So
I have the answer to that.
Go for it.
Chinese elm. It grows like weeds around here.
Well, there you go. Perfect.
Oh, I just, yeah, okay.
Just don't, Jeff. Just don't do it.
What isn't Chinese that doesn't grow like a weed? Right? You're bringing everything over from China, there you go.
Ta-da!
I could not let that one go.
I knew the second I said that, and he started smiling. I knew what was going on up there.
So, Kyle in the live chat, I'm not sure why he decides to grow soap, but he says it, good, cool weather, grows great under a trampoline. He pronounces it cilantro. I pronounce it soap. But
speaking of spices, like your oregano, basil, stuff like that, actually does pretty good in the cooler weather, getting it started, and that stuff will grow when it's cool out. Yeah, getting it started.
like cool, like winter cool, like we can start it now.
No, not where you guys are at. That's for sure. But poor little guys, they wouldn't make it.
Awesome. Let's see. Okay, so Richard's got a comment in here saying he's going to attempt to use a permanent magnet motor out of a treadmill and make a wind generator. That's interesting. Yeah, let us know how that goes. And Scott's got a question for Pat, just asking if you grow crops commercially or mostly livestock and feed.
Actually, we do both. I grow corn, milo, soybeans. I put up alfalfa hay, oats, rye. Let's see what else. Prairie hay. And yeah, that about covers it. We used to do wheat, but every time we have wheat anywhere on any of our parcels of land, every single crop gets hailed out. So we quit growing wheat. It attracts hail like a sponge. So we quit growing wheat. I don't know why, but we tried it about 3-4 years ago again after Dad had not planted it for 15. And yeah, everything got hailed out. So we decided to next that one off. But yeah, how many acres do we farm? Actual crop ground, our corn, our soybeans, stuff like that. We have right around 800 acres on that. So that keeps us plenty busy during the spring, summer, and fall. As far as alfalfa and our rye and our sedan grass and stuff like that for the cattle, we actually use for cattle feed. Probably altogether 150 acres for just for the cows for cattle feed and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we do all of our own haying and we do all of our own commercial crops and stuff like that. Yeah, and then,
Nice.
we have quite a bit left over and it just goes straight to town. So
Kyle makes a comment about my cilantro comment about feeling bad for me. Tacos must be so bland. Tacos are wonderful. I just load them up with hot peppers and hot sauce, and we're good to go. No cilantro. I don't need to be eating soap. Just hot sauce, hot peppers.
Come on, you don't want to be a pretend vegan?
Don't want to what?
Be a pretend vegan?
No, I don't need cilantro.
Okay.
No.
Just checking.
Yeah. Let's see. So Kyle's asking questions about best way to have a furnace be generator ready. And then Scott kind of answers it for him in the live chat. So I got Kyle's question here. And Scott, single circuit manual transfer switch on the furnace circuit or Generalink do the whole house. So there you go. Question answered. Or do a whole home generator, Generac, and the way you go too.
mm-hmm.
Well, it depends how deep your pockets are.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
A lot of depends answers tonight. A lot of depends.
Yeah. And that's the whole reason I burn wood versus having a Generac sitting outside.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, you can't go wrong with burning wood, right? Like that's as long as you've got a source for the wood, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Warm,
Yeah.
Well, I heat 95% with wood as well, Pat. So it's it's either that or my other option is, because I'm a bit out in the country, is electricity. I don't have gas. I don't natural gas. I don't have any of that stuff. So running electric heat can add up financially in a big hurry. So yeah, and I mean obviously the redundancy factor there and the backup factor of hydro goes out. How do you heat your house if all you have is hydro? So
Yep. Yeah, and I'm in the exact same boat as you are, Jeff. Granted, the state that I live in, Nebraska owns all of its own utilities and stuff. So actually the price isn't nearly as bad as some other spots.
ask Texas how it goes having your own electricity utility.
Right, but we don't have any. We don't have near the those damn ugly things that stick up in the air with the big blades. Oh God, that's a ripoff. But anyway, yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm primary.
I'm
the whole.
just kind of more talking about how their grid just decided to take the big shit on them when it got cold there in, what was it, 2021, I believe, when it got cold and the Texas grid just said nope.
Yep. Nebraska's pretty fortified on that, unless we have a major disaster like we did in 2005. And we had a gigantic ice storm that actually crumpled most of the high transmission lines around here. I mean, they looked like somebody had came like this and just went like it was record-breaking ice that Nebraska had never seen ever. So, but anyway, yeah, that's like me. Wood versus a Generac that I would have had to have put in to do the whole house and the furnace and everything would have been right around $20,000 to $22,000 at the time. A standby generator versus $4,000 for all the pipe, brand new stove, brand new pipe, everything. I mean, all the bells and whistles that I got with everything. And it's in the bunker. Heat rises, keeps all the pipes nice and warm. And when it's really cold out, I actually turn the furnace off. And I have a hole in the floor of the furnace room. And it pulls all that hot air right into the furnace room. And the furnace room's sealed off. So it redistributes all that hot air all over the whole house. So it definitely cuts back on the electricity a lot. So definitely a way lower bill when I'm burning wood.
So we've got a really good question in the live chat from Sean. So another good one that's going to make us think. So he asks, who is more threatening, a starving person with nothing or a fully kitted out and armed person?
Ooh.
Fantastic question. I like it.
Does this starving person have a family also? Because
all right.
That's more motivation.
I was just kind of going to say the same thing. Like, a starving person has nothing to lose. They're going to die anyway. So at that point, they really don't care. I would think the fully kitted armed person is maybe somebody who's a bit of a prepper, has got a bit of, a stockpile of something. If they've gone to that extent, I would think, to me, being a bit the OPSEC, the gray man, whole kind of thing. If you're fully kitted and you're armed and you're going out there and showing off and taking shots at people, you're just attracting attention you really probably don't want and you shouldn't want. So I would say probably that starving person's more of a threat because they got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I agree. The starving person is I would size them up as more of the threat depending on the situation that you're in. The fully kitted up and armed person, if they're just sauntering down the road, they're not saying anything to you, they're not causing any kind of problems beyond just kind of being present and in the area, carry on. I'm assuming we're in like a shit hit the fan kind of scenario here. Carry on. You leave me alone, I leave you alone kind of deal. That starving person with nothing. Yeah, I'm paying a little bit extra attention to them because they, like everyone else has said, they got nothing to lose. They are in a desperate kind of situation where they, hunger does funny things to people. So, yeah, I'm keeping an extra eye on that one. And again, this depends on the scenario you're in and the environment you're in and what's going on at the time. But for 95% of the scenarios I can think of, the kitted and armed person, carry on as long as you're not bothering me. But the starving person, yeah, I'm keeping an eye on them. But fantastic question.
What's the old saying? Just 6 meals away from the end of the world or end of civilization.
Sounds about right. Yep, sounds about right. People get funny when they get hungry.
They do funny things. Just look at about any third world country.
Kyle's got a good point. Everyone get kitted up and walk to Eric's. Okay, so like I said, if you're walking towards my place, and it depends on how you're walking towards my place, yeah, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to you. if we're in a shit hits the fan kind of situation and we're both just kind of crossing paths, or we're sitting in a general location and, you know, you're all kitted up and you're not bothering me, I'm not bothering you, but there's that really super hungry person sitting near me, I'm watching them a little bit closer. But yeah, if you're all getting kitted up and walking towards my place, that's a little odd. That's going to catch my attention. I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to you at that point. I'm getting the trampolines out. You're not getting near my house, Kyle.
And let's face the facts. If it gets to that extent, Kyle, there'll be nothing left at Eric's for you to take anyways. I will have absconded all of it.
Well, you know what?
That's
Kyle's got a good point.
That came up in a podcast
Jeff
a long
knows
time
everything.
ago. If anybody hasn't been around, that I said I didn't need to be prepared because if I really wanted anything, I would just go and steal it from Eric. So,
yep. Kyle's got a valid point. He's got a CPP patch. Come on in, Kyle. Yep. You're welcome here.
But I have a patch. Let me in.
I'm important.
He's got the secret here. Come on in. Any other questions in the live chat, or, you know, we're taking anything tonight. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be about body armor. Doesn't have to be about ham radios, although I prefer it. You name it. Anything you want to toss out there in the live chat, we're happy to try to answer it. Same thing with the panelists. Anything you want to just throw out there, go for it. As I said, we're kind of winging things tonight, so it's kind of fun. We haven't really done this before, so we'll give the live chat a second to jump back in. We've had a couple of really good questions tonight. It's been this has been fun. It's we might have to do another episode like this, but a planned one where we have some stuff to talk about between the times where we're waiting for questions. Well, there's a good one from Kyle. How many cords of wood in a typical season? Great question.
Well, Jeff, about how many do you deal?
It depends on the wording of the question. Some people get confused. So there's a cord of wood and then there's a bush cord of wood. So the bush cord is 3 cords. I usually go through between 2.5 to 3 bush cord in a season. So a single cord, I would probably use 8 or 9 in a season. And that's a 4 foot high, 4 foot long, 16-inch wide is a cord. A bush cord is the same thing. It's 4 by 4, but it's by 4 feet. So yeah, you usually get 3 cords in a bush cord. So if I go through 3, I'm talking about 9 4 by 16 cords of wood.
I hear you. Yeah, probably for me, my little woodsheds out there, you probably put both of them together would probably equal a cord. I'm blessed. I have a very efficient wood stove in my house, and my house is fairly new, with the bunker being completely foam insulated inside and out, and about basically the same thing upstairs too, in the top part of the bunker. So I don't have to burn that much wood to keep everything warm in here. So I'm pretty lucky. I know some people have different types of houses, or maybe it's an older house and it's not as insulated as some of these newer ones, or what. It all depends on the building and how many square feet you're trying to do. But I might do 1 bush cord by what Jeff's saying per year, and I don't get as cold as long as like what you guys do up in Canada either. So there's a big difference. I mean, where you guys stay colder a lot longer, guys gonna go through a lot more wood. So of course the other big thing is it depends on the kind of wood. If you're burning a hardwood, you're going to go through a lot less. If you're burning a softer wood, you're going to burn more wood to get the equal amount of heat. So Richard asked, what do I have for a wood stove? I have a Napoleon. I was lucky enough and am lucky enough that the Napoleon factory is literally a 20-minute drive from my house, straight down Highway 11.
at the north end of the city of Barrie. There's a company
nice.
called Napoleon, and their factory is right there. So, yeah.
Nice. That's really cool because if I tried to go get parts for mine, I'd have to go to Italy.
Well, I got lucky a couple of years ago. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it happened. They don't know either. Middle of the night, there's a big bang. Get up in the morning, I come out, and there's a humongous crack right through the glass door. I just took the glass door off, drove down there, left it with them. They called me the next morning. It's ready to go. Went back, picked it up. Done.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. I can get parts for mine readily available, but it's not going to be like Jeff. It's going to be 2-3 days because there's only 2 places in the United States that carry the parts for mine. So yeah, mine's going to be definitely another 2 to 3 days, even though mine is a very popular model. So they do keep a lot of the pieces, parts and stuff on hand. So that's kind of the why I picked that stove, is because it's one of their more popular ones. It's been out for quite a while. So, and that's another thing to think of. If you're going to get into a wood stove, make sure you can still get parts for it, or make sure that you can rebuild it easy enough. So, just some tips on wood stove stuff. So
Kyle's question, are they outdoor burners? Mine is not. I'm assuming by Pat's discussion, his isn't either. My neighbor has one of those outdoor burners. The problem with them is they do require electricity. So for those who don't know, those outdoor burners, basically what they do is they heat a liquid. So whether it's glycol or something like that, they pump it into the house, and it goes through the tubes in your furnace. The furnace air then blows through those tubes, warms up the air, and puts it through your house like a regular furnace, but you're making the heat outside. You're just piping the warm liquid in and around. So he quickly discovered a couple years ago in a big power outage that we had that his $5,000 or $6,000 outdoor wood burner was useless.
All right. Sean's got another good question in the live chat here. Cycling in the comms now. If you have no radio, what is the first radio you will find available around town? Interesting question. Pointing at your little Baofeng there, Pat?
Yeah, it's. I'm guessing that would, at least my guess would be probably handheld Baofeng, something along those lines would probably be my first guess.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's talking about a scenario where things have gone south and you're maybe scavenging for equipment. You're probably going to come across either a ham radio operator who's got some handhelds, like Pat's talked about, or the one that Jeff just showed. You may come across somebody who's a CB enthusiast. So you come across a CB radio. Chances are you're going to come across like the family band radios. I suspect those are probably, you're going to see more of those out in the wild if you're scavenging for things. So the family band service radios, little handhelds you can grab, and like the blister packs, like Canadian Tire or something like that, I would imagine you'd come across. Those would probably be the most common ones outside of little ham radios that you'd come across in kind of a scavenging kind of scenario. Especially if you're at the stage in an emergency situation where you might be scavenging through stores and whatnot, then it's definitely the family band radios that you're going to come across. And those are the little guys with the fixed antennas that can't be removed. They're set on fixed frequencies, so they're channelized. That's probably what you're going to come across first. And then after that, your little handhelds like these guys here.
Probably going to come up with
ham radios.
Something like
there
this.
You go. Yeah.
Like you say, little family talk back and forth radio. It's pre-programmed. It might have 5 or 6 different channels in it. be careful of, they'll tell you it's a 25-kilometer range or a 10-kilometer range or whatever. That's a load of crap.
Yeah, there you go.
You'll be lucky to get a couple kilometers out of it, but yeah.
It's 25 kilometers if Jeff is standing at the top of the mountain and I'm standing at the bottom, and we have a clear sign of view of each other, line of sight to each other. It doesn't mean that I have to see Jeff. It just means that my antenna has to be able to see his antenna, so they can hear each other. So it's, yeah, the chances are, and as you can see there, Pat had an FRS radio within hand. Jeff had one within hand. I've got one over here on the shelf that I'm just not going to reach and grab. Everybody's got them close by, so that's probably going to be the most common type of radio that you're going to see floating around. And then on top of that, next would be your ham radio type of setups. But again, a great question. And Kyle mentions in the live chat, and Jeff already touched on it, the family radios have a 5 mile in quotes range. Don't question the distance. I'm not questioning the distance. They can do 5 miles. It's just, what can they see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like Eric said. If I'm standing at the top of Pikes Peak, I'd probably be able to reach you down at the base of the mountain.
Oh, Kyle,
Johnny Appleseed's got a good...
You're funny. No, it's not an insurer, but it is an adult beverage.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna put that one out there, Jeff.
No, I got no problem with that.
Johnny Appleseed in the live chat. Body armor still allowed in Trudeau's Canada. We'll touch on that when our subject matter experts are able to get on. I don't know if you're here at the beginning, but we had some technical issues with them getting on this evening, so we're just doing kind of a Ask Me Anything kind of episode, winging it here and seeing where we go. So we'll touch on that question when our subject matter experts are able to catch up with us in the new year. Sean with another follow-up question. So since most people don't carry radios, what do you mean most people don't carry radios? I carry a radio everywhere I go. Am I not most people? What radio do you think they will find and use? So people that don't carry a radio, what do you think they'll find? Yeah, like we already mentioned, I figure they'll come across a family band radio first. That's going to be your most common everyday sort of radio that anybody grabs. You know, mom and pop will grab it to stay in contact with each other at the camp if they're going camping. People will grab them to stay in touch with each other car to car. They're easy, readily accessible, easy to purchase. The family band is what you're going to come across most likely. We've got Fatal Force Outfitters just mentioning body armor is legal in a few provinces. Yeah, we touched on that at the beginning here. Just a quick little chat about it. It's a provincially regulated thing. So in Ontario, good to go. No problems. Different provinces in Canada, you'd have to check first. Some will require you to have a firearms license. But again, we'll dive into that when we have our subject matter experts out. We're going to reschedule with them in the new year. And we'll get all these answers out to you guys at that point, because none of us here are subject matter experts on the topic, so we don't want to lead you astray. That's why we brought in the subject matter experts to talk tonight. But like I said, unfortunately, we had some tech issues, so we'll get them sorted out eventually. What else? Oh, and Sean in the live chat here has got a good point that 90% of commercial trucks will have CB radios connected to the battery. Yep. Great point. That's actually a really good call. Your commercial trucks for sure. There's a lot of commercial truckers that'll do ham radio as well, but for sure they'll have CBs. So
yeah. There's actually I know a couple guys personally from growing up, and they still do. They have both CB and the dedicated ham rig and stuff like that in there. They may have 3 radios in their truck, and depending on what they want to do, might have this one on for a little while, turn it off, go to this one, so.
Johnny Appleseed in the live chat says body armor is a safety device. It should be legal and capitalizes everywhere. As far as I know, it's not illegal anywhere in Canada. It's just regulated in some provinces as to who can purchase it. meaning you have to have a firearms license in some provinces, not all. But again, I'm far from an expert in the topic. I can tell you in Ontario, it's not a requirement to have a firearms license to purchase it or possess it, but in some provinces it is. So a couple of regulations around it, but not necessarily illegal, just a hoop or two to step through in some provinces. But like I said, we'll bring the ARA Tech guys in the new year and get them to really clarify things, because they are the guys that know, because this is their business. So, and Richard wants to know who let the dogs out. There's always got to be that guy. All right. We've gone on for an hour and 5. Got some good questions in, and we got some good things. I think this has been good for a an unplanned ask me anything, throw questions at us kind of episode. Okay, so Kyle's got a good one that I got to follow up with. Can we ever expect the CO and Extinguisher podcast? We talk about them on every episode.
No.
Of course. That is our podcast. But if you mean in specifics, like actually talking about picking out good equipment for carbon monoxide or fire extinguishers, yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll have to bring Alan back and let him go on a tirade.
1 hour, 5 minutes.
The line, but we can't let him rage quit.
1 hour, 5 minutes.
And Richard,
that might be the longest.
Longest is just over 2 hours. It's Richard asks, what's your favorite concealed carry gun, and can you conceal carry in Canada? We cannot conceal carry. You can't carry a gun, period, in Canada, Richard, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. And Kyle mentions that we haven't mentioned carbon monoxide yet. No. But with that, like I said, we're an hour and 6. I think we've killed enough time with a few questions and such. We definitely need to do this again, where we do an Ask Me Anything, open things up. But we're going to do it a little bit more planned, where we've got some filler questions and some things pre-planned to kind of fill in a couple of the gaps. But appreciate everybody kind of sticking with us while we've done a completely unplanned throw questions at us kind of episode, where we just, I don't know, sit back and fireside chat it, I guess. But no, this has been fun.
Yeah, it has been.
With that maybe we'll move into upcoming events. So we've got the annual Preppers Meet 2025 coming up. If you haven't heard us talk about it yet, it's July 7th to the 13th. Check it out. Annual Preppers Meet Facebook page for updates, or annualpreppersmeet.com. The events are starting to build up quite a bit. Lots of great topics, lots of great things going on. It's a full week now. So it's gone from a couple days into a full week. So come on out and check it out. It's at the Slovenian Anglers and Hunters Club, just outside of Alliston. Fantastic location. Lots of fun. Lots of great people. Yeah, if you've not been out to any of the preppers meets in the past, everybody's friendly. Everybody's willing to chat with you. Beginners welcome and encouraged to come out. Just come on out and have a good time. Nobody bites. Nobody's scary. Just make sure to bring your tinfoil hat. It is a requirement to get in.
Yeah, you get all kinds there. So a lot of good intentions. Some, few out in left field, but hey, everybody has their ideas and their opinions, and you just got to take it, right?
But the fun part with the preppers meet is people that show up and you think they're out in left field, they're more than willing to put their information out there, but they're more than willing to listen to yours. Yeah. I have yet to see a big argument or a blowout or a huge disagreement go on, because everybody just says, well, yeah, okay, I don't really agree with what your point of view is on that. Here's my point of view. But at the same time, we all have a common interest of just being prepared for any kind of scenario that can come up. And I don't think you're right. You don't think I'm right. Maybe one day we'll figure out that neither of us were right and somebody else in the group here was right. And you know what? There's cold beer and there's a fire. So at the end of the day, everybody's happy. It's really cool that way, where egos don't really play a role, I guess is the best way to put it. Everyone's willing to hear each other out. And at the end of the day, the beer's cold, the fire's hot, and we carry on. It's a really neat kind of environment. So come on out and check it out, July 7th to the 13th, and see what it's all about. All right, Jeff, you got a weather blurb?
Sure, I'll keep it short. Kind of basically in a single word, cold.
Yep.
It is presently minus 14 degrees Celsius where I live. I was out last night grooming some snowmobile trails, and I come in at about 2:30 in the morning, and it was minus 22, and that's without the wind chill. So
that's true.
And it's cold. We had a bit of a warm spell. Now it's cold. We will get a bit of a short reprieve leading up to the new year. It's going to warm up, be into the, at least in my area, low single digits. Of course, further south than Ontario, Canada, you're going to see a bit warmer temperatures. But I think that's going to be short term. I'm keeping an eye on, and I will admit I haven't been up on the Discord as much as I have. I've had a pretty busy last couple of weeks. But after the new year, I would not be surprised if we are in for another cold blast and some decent snow. I would not be surprised to see a nor'easter or maybe even two pop out of this. For those who don't know what basically a nor'easter is, or they call it a weather bomb. It's a low pressure system that drops 24 millibars of pressure in 24 hours, creates pretty significant, in the wintertime, pretty significant winter storms, usually blizzards. So I would not be surprised if we see one or maybe two of them on the horizon during the month of January. A lot of the models are agreeing it's going to get cold, but there's a lot of disagreement about the precipitation. So I'm not telling you it's going to happen, but I'm also telling you that it's not going to happen. So be prepared for that. Like I said, the first week in January, we're going to see that what I think is going to be a potentially very, very cold blast of Arctic air. It's going to move into the kind of the Midwest areas, the Dakotas, Pat's neck of the woods there, Nebraska, and those places. The potential that cold air could move as far south as maybe even into North Texas, Oklahoma, those areas. I'm not saying you're going to get, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was February 2021 was that bad blast in Texas and all the power outages and all the people that died from exposure and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to get to that extent, but you're certainly going to see probably the coldest since last winter is going to move in during probably the first week to 10 days of January. So just be prepared for that. And I'll leave it at that, and we'll touch on it into the new year when things are a little bit closer and the models have more or less come into agreement. And, it's pretty hard to predict weather sometimes 2 or 3 days out, let alone 300 hours out. So I'm just throwing things out there for you to chew on a little bit.
Awesome. Well, speaking of the cold weather and such, Christmas is just around the corner, so we are going to be taking a little bit of a break from putting episodes out, but you will see us come back in the new year, most likely in around January 4th. So we'll see you then. So like I said, there'll be a bit of a break, but that I'll bring episode number 257 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, of course, your favorite podcast app. Pretty sure we're on all of them now. Please do submit a review. It does encourage the algorithm, promotes us slightly for about 30 seconds. Then they realize we're talking about prepping, drops us back down to the bottom. But it does help other people find the show.
And we do record these shows live on YouTube and Facebook. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we're going live. Anybody wants to reach out to me, it's feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I try to be on the Discord as much as I can.
All And Pat, where can everybody get you?
Everybody can find me on Facebook at Pat Hirsch. I don't put some content up there, and mainly on YouTube at Pat in a Bunker, as you see it on the screen right there. Do a lot of different stuff on there, between fire starters, ATCs, to guns, to you name it. If it's outdoors, I love to do stuff outdoors. So. But yeah, come over and check some of my videos out if you're so inclined. So other than that, that's all I've got.
Awesome. You can check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com and get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. Thanks for joining us for this random question kind of episode. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.
As we wrap up another insightful episode of the Canadian Prepper Podcast, we want to extend our gratitude to our listeners for joining us on this journey of preparedness. Remember, the key to survival is knowledge and readiness. If you want to support the show and engage with our community further, consider signing up for our Patreon and joining our thriving community on Discord. Links are in the description. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. This is the Canadian Prepper Podcast, signing off. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe, and keep learning.